I'm noticing my channel is starting to build a lot of traction, and firstly, massive thanks to everyone leaving positive comments and liking my videos. It means so much to me. I really appreciate it. And out of those comments, right, many people have reached out to me personally asking me to do videos on particular topics. Like most of those topics relate to, I guess, how to mix certain different genres of music, for instance. So here's the thing. I've received requests on how to mix videos on how to mix 90s and commercial house, and how to mix potentially problematic songs, like maybe songs that have next to no intro at all. And also some other people requested videos on how to mix techno, trap, someone hard styles, dubstep, drum and bass is pretty popular, right? And the good news is, right, I'm in the process of doing them all right now, actually, so as we speak. And in honesty, I'm loving the process so much. As let's face it, right, time spent on the decks is time well spent. And what I'm realizing is, right, that I'm at a stage where I can draw from influencers, see and hear what they're doing, can pick that apart, and then I can share with you really valuable tips for all of you, right? Which is what it's all about for me, getting you guys confident enough to play in clubs. But one thing I did notice through doing all these different genres, and that is, once you do know how to DJ, I feel you can DJ anything. People always make the mistake of thinking you must know your actual songs before you're able to mix them. And sure, some songs kick in at different times, and sometimes they do something unexpected. But I personally feel with a formal approach, which means understanding music to its core, and basically how music's made and the formula and stuff, you can get to a stage where you can play anything and make everything sound good, whether you know the song or not. And that's always the main goal I have for you and my students, that basically you can turn up to a party, jump on the decks using someone else's music that you've never even heard before or played before, right? And you can play at a pro standard no matter what music, no matter what gear is in front of you, and that you're ready for every and any eventuality. Now, in this video, I'm going to explain the different ways you can transition between songs and genres. And by the end of this video, you're going to have a better understanding of what kind of transition you should be applying to each genre and the things that you need to look out for. Now, let's start right with one of the most popular and common used transitions of all time, okay? So this one's called the fade. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit embarrassed doing it, but in saying that, let's say you go to a party or a wedding or something like that, the chances are that people are just fading between songs. And don't get me wrong, there is definitely a time and place for it. See, what I found, I basically, my big background is in running clubs. So I ran clubs for almost 20 years and that was my thing. But when I had my first club going for the first few years, there were some times, like I did that every Friday night, and there were some times when I just needed a little bit more money, right? And then to be honest, DJing, it's what I do, right? So I've loved that, and I've always, I've been self-employed in the music industry for 20 years now, and that's always what I've done. So what happens was I just sort of did some weddings and stuff on the weekends just to make some extra money. As let's face it, right? You can get probably $800. Well, that's what I was getting, $800 to sort of do weddings, and I actually thought that kind of beat working. It was actually a lot of fun. But one thing I did notice when doing the weddings is that it's all about song selection, okay? So sure, I'm mixing as much as I can, but let's say that I'm playing and I'm reading the crowd a little bit and I'm getting an idea for a song, and let's say that song's 20 BPMs different. See, people, I'd play it, but I don't have to mix everything. See, here's the thing. People always, they compromise perfect song selection for what they can mix. And I actually think it shouldn't be that way. I think song selection comes first. So if I'm basically playing a song and then all of a sudden I want to go into a new one and it's 20 BPMs different, I could just fade out. So we'll start with that, right? But then again, once I've gone to that song, if I didn't know what to play next, sure, I look at what I can beat match. I look at thinking about what I can mix, but I'm not just looking for songs I can mix. I'm trying to take the people on the journey, and I probably mix most of it. But then if I get an idea for a song and it's too far to beat match, I just would fade out. So let's start with the fade then, okay? So let's say, and this is typical, okay? So let's say I've got a song playing here, and I just go load up a song, and they're just, they're over 50 BPMs apart, these ones, right? So let's pretend the song's going well and I'll come in. But what I want to do though quickly, I want to show you the crossfader now versus these faders, okay? So let's say I've got my crossfader on. I've got it on a typical curve here where it's kind of like that T-shape, that first one, where you just go in and go out. But that's kind of pretty standard, I think. So let's say I put my crossfader on, this side's playing, I've got this one. And let's pretend the song's going well and I'm just going to fade in over the end. Okay, so let's say it's playing. Okay, I've got my new song. Okay, I've got my crossfader here. Maybe I'll put that in the middle. Just a little bit on that side. Turn it up a bit. Yeah, and you see there with the crossfader how, you see it's quite sensitive. And I can put it on another curve, but then there's one in the middle here where it kind of pulls down the volume in the middle, which I don't really want. So personally, unless you're scratching, I'm not a big fan of the crossfader at all. My thoughts on it is that basically, well, unless you're scratching, that is. But if you're not scratching, you've only got one fader here, and I've got two faders here. So to be honest, I never use this. I think you get a lot more control here. So even if I am fading, I can get much more control with the volume faders. So on this gear and all the club gear, you can actually put that onto through in the middle, which means you just turn it off. It's off, right? And if for people that have controllers that you can't turn it off, just maybe put it in the middle. I'd probably even gaff tape it down just so I never bump it, just leave it there, never use it. So okay, so I'll do that again now with the crossfaders. Oh no, with the volume faders. So I got the volume up. I'm not even using the EQ at this point. Okay, and I'll be honest, right? Yes, very, very basic. And if I put on the right song at the right time, probably people don't care. And just in saying that, for the people out there that do fade between songs like that, it's going to get harder, don't worry. Stick around for this video. I'm going to get into full house everything, like, mixing stuff with short intros that's going to unfold. But I'd say, honestly, every time I've gone to a wedding and heard a DJ playing, or I've gone to a party and it's not like just people, quite often they're just playing songs, right? And I went to my partner's end of year, like dancing, right? And what happened was there was a DJ there and he was just like fading between songs the whole time. But in saying that, his song selection was great and everyone had a good time. So song selection is definitely king, so that we could fade. And also, if I wanted to make that a little bit more exciting, I could add some echo on that. I could even do a spin back. You can do different kinds of stuff. But that comes later. I think this video is more actually about how to just actually transition between songs. Okay, so another really popular mix, right? So what you're going to notice for this video, they're going to get harder. So I'm sort of starting with the basic ones, but each one gets a little bit better. So the next one is sort of, I guess, then hitting play after the main chorus in the break here. Now, this is really, really common for like EDM, bass house, even some trap. And what happens is maybe in the middle of the song, like after the chorus, it drops back sometimes into a break, and that's where I can hit play. Now, I could actually be doing songs in the same BPM, or sometimes I use those breaks to actually do BPM changes as well. So I'm just hitting play. Now, I'll be honest, I used to do this. Like, this is where I started when I was self-taught, that the chorus would end, I'd hit play where I'm bringing it in. But the problem with hitting play where you're bringing it in is, let's say there is beats there. You're hitting play, you're doing the volume, you got to hit play, you got to get the songs in sync as well. You're hitting the volume and you're actually using the EQ all at once. So personally, in the next one, example coming up, I actually think giving yourself time to beat match before doing your transitions is a lot better. And what we can do is, by giving ourselves time, we can kind of tease in our song over the end of the chorus. Now, if that sounds messy, we can look at EQ techniques and stuff too. So I can come in kind of teasing in after the chorus, and then once the chorus drops off, it's already in sync. I've already got everything. I've got my hands free to do all this. And that'll be my next example coming up, but that's the way that I mix. I think giving yourself time to beat match is optimal. So, okay, but in this case, I'll just show you, this is very, very typical. Again, just hitting play where I'm bringing it in. So let's say now this song's playing. Okay, I've got my BPMs the same. Maybe I will have the volume in. There's not a lot of bass there, so maybe I might soften it, have a bit of the highs, that down, have this in. Okay. 8, 2, 3, 4. Right. It's really great with songs that don't have much of an intro. And now that's in, and I just faded this one out. And I'll be honest, that is a very, very standard mix. Like, quite often you'll even hear some people in clubs doing that. Like, I'm not talking about the big DJs. You don't have to be a big DJ to play in clubs. So in my whole course, I've got a club pack section where I talk about getting shows, but you know, you can get into the local scene. You really can. My goal is for you that when you hit the local scene, you're the best DJ on the lineup. But sometimes in the local scene, people are just doing that. Like the chorus ends, bang, the hit playing. I know that because when I first started running clubs, I was doing that. And in saying that, my crowds were still going off because my song selection was good. But then, so that's just hitting play. But then what I noticed is once I was playing on this lineup, and this DJ before me was hitting play in the middle of the chorus, but he had his volume down. I'm like, what's he doing, right? And then all of a sudden the chorus ended and he came in and it was already in sync and it was beautiful. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And it gave me the idea of actually finding the parts I want to play and putting your cue point 8 or 16 bars early to mix it in. So that means then for your in and out points, let's say then my in point, I could find the bit I want to play. Let's say I want to replace the drop, find the drop, go back 16 bars, give myself 8 bars to beat match, 8 bars to do my transition. And let's say for my out points, let's say I'm coming in after the chorus, I could go find where the chorus ends, put a cue 8 bars earlier or 16 bars as a marker of where I could come in, knowing that if I say, for instance, I've got my cue 8 bars back from the end of the chorus, if I come in there, I've got 8 bars to beat match, come in over the end and everything's going to line up. Now, cue points, honestly, I was teaching some people recently and they never use cue points. And I can mix without cues. I actually find it a lot of fun. But let's say you want to turn up to a club and you want everything to line up all the time, every time. Having a method to set cue points takes it to another level. And this guy that I was teaching, he was then doing my playlist in practice time and he was just like, oh my God, it just went from here to there. So setting cues really can give you creative control. So if you're not sure how and where to set cue points, I have got a video on my free course online, right, where it's like, you know, how to set cues. There's probably about a dozen videos on there. They're all really, really good. So I'll put the link in below, check that out. But I'll give you an example now. So the first one we just had, okay, a simple fade. That one's just hitting play where you're bringing it in, probably coming into the break in the middle of the song, very common. But now this one, you know, maybe I'm going to draw out my transition. And what I've done here, I've got my cue point a fair bit back, right, from the end of the chorus, because in this case, I'm actually going to do it on house music. And with house music, you probably have longer intros, so you have more time to mix it in. Now, if you've got songs that have short intros and stuff like that and problematic songs, stick around, as I think that's the next one I'm doing. So I've got another couple to do after that. So I'm going to really cover in this video all the main transitions people do. But as you notice, it's starting to get slightly harder. So okay, so this one here, it's kind of like giving myself time to beat match and then maybe actually drawing out my transition, you know, a little bit. So using the EQ, could even do some loops, could even add some effects. So maybe I'll do all that now. So okay, so I'll load my song. Okay, I've got it from the start there. I've got my BPMs the same. And if you're not sure of the mixing process, check out my previous video, the mixing process. That's where it all starts. You have to master that first. So okay, let's say the song's playing. I see it about to go to the chorus. I've got a long intro here. Beat match. Now I've got all this, sorry, I'll turn it down a bit. So now I've got all this time to beat match, you know, all this time. That's what I like. I like having time to beat match. Okay. Now, I've got a video coming up where I'm going to talk about the next video next week actually, where I talk about the volume faders versus the EQ. I know a lot of people just come in with their volume faders. Personally, I like bringing the EQ right back. And that means when I bring the volume fader in, you can't hear anything. And then I can just use this to roll in. So now I'm going to roll in, coming in inside of the song. But if you're not into that, check out my next video. I'll do some comparisons. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's hide the transition. Beautiful. Okay, and I'm liking that. I'm going to set a loop. Cool. Could add some effects. Maybe I'll filter out. Okay, I think I did a similar one to this when I was showing how to use maybe filter and effects. But again, in this case, this is just an example of drawing tracks out. On that, I do apologize sometimes if sometimes I might use some of the same tracks. It's just that finding songs that don't have copyright on them can be a bit of a bitch in YouTube. That's why on my course I can really, it's on my website, I can really do, like, I don't have to hold back on finding songs that don't have copyright, they're going to get the channel banned. But anyway, I'll see this about to kick in, I might roll this one out. Okay, and that one there, like drawing it out, that's actually my favorite, giving myself time to beat match. But how long you can play both songs together for really depends a little bit on the genre of music. And what you're going to find is with the deeper kinds of house, like even tech house, deep house, even some future house, techno, even trance, you can probably draw out your transitions for longer and then basically do really cool stuff on the EQ and you know, effects and stuff like that and have a good time. But let's say you're doing more commercial music. What might happen is, say if I'm coming in after the chorus and if I keep playing my songs together, I could have vocals on vocals. Let me give you an example of this. So this one now, it's kind of like mixing. I'm still going to be mixing, giving myself time to mix in. I'm coming in over the end of the chorus, but I probably have to get my other song out as faster to avoid vocals on vocals. So I'll go in here. I'm going to do this stuff on slightly more commercial because that's where it's most relevant. But so I've got a song here. Okay, so if you're not into this kind of music, bear with me. I'm gonna give you, because there's some cool looping in stuff. I'm gonna do some tech and stuff in a sec, so that's cool. So, okay. So now let's say I'm coming in after the chorus. I'll give you an example. Okay. So I come in, I've got myself time to beat match. Beat match. Okay, and let's say I mix it like I did with house. With house, I swap on the ones. And I got vocals on vocals. So to be honest, drawing out your transition, I'm still coming in over the end of the chorus, but drawing out your transition is really good for like house music, where usually after the chorus they drop off, they give you a beat and you can afford to play your songs for a longer period of time. But with this, if I come in and swap the basses on the one when the chorus ends, like I have with most genres, vocals kick back in, and that actually had me stuck for a long, long time. I remember I used to be playing, I came from a bit of a house EDM background, and all of a sudden I started doing a bit of commercial stuff because, well, just, well, sometimes, you know, like, just because sometimes you're at parties and sometimes people needed that. And I guess then I did compromise my style at times for the sake of the atmosphere. So anyway, what I found was I just like, how do I get out? There's just singing the whole way through. And what it requires is that you're coming in over the end of the chorus, and instead of waiting for the one on the EQ, you've got to go a little bit early. And I'd probably roll it out with the EQ, create a bit of space, and then my song comes in, and you've got to have it out by the end of the chorus. But if you cut it too soon, you cut the chorus in half. So you got to kind of roll out that one just as the chorus is ending and your new song comes in. So I'll give you an example of that. So the same. Rolling in. Okay. And I kind of call that in a way trigger mixing, because the end of the, like I come in over the end of the phrase and I get it out on that 8, 2, 3, 4, bang, and my new song comes in. And it doesn't have to be just for commercial music. As I've got videos coming up here with drum and bass and dubstep, sometimes I mix aggressively with that too. Like I could come in over the end of the chorus and straight after the chorus, the dubstep could go into something heavy. And maybe I just want to bring the build of my new song, but when you play them together, it's just like full on. So what I could do is I've got my song coming in over the end of the chorus, roll out the chorus, and then my thing comes in cleanly. I call it trigger mixing. That's just something, you know, that how I call it, because it's kind of coming in over that end of phrase mark at the end, pull it back, bang, it kicks in. But anyway, the main reason I guess I'm doing this video now is to go through different transitions, so you can, when you see me bring all these into play for all the how to mix different genres videos coming up, you're going to be able to understand it and bring it together. And if you don't, Honestly, these videos do assume that you have some understanding of DJing already. Like, you know about the gear, you know the difference between club and this, your controller and club gear, and you know the basic operations of all gear. You know how to beat match confidently without actually any kind of visual. That's important to me, that you can actually phrase. And if you don't know that stuff, honestly, save yourself so much time. Like, it took me 20 years to figure out everything, right? Like, you know, just all this experience. Honestly, in my online course, like, I'm really, really proud of it. I really am. And I'm certain I get people club ready all the time, and I'm always receiving comments from people thanking me for the course. But anyway, I'll put the link in below. Decide for yourself. Check out the website. A lot of work's gone into it. But okay, moving on. So now, the last one for this, right, and that is looping in to give yourself more time to mix in your song. Because let's face it, right, the big problem I'm finding a lot of people have is that maybe they're playing problematic songs. And what I mean by problematic songs is sometimes you have songs that have very short intros and maybe the song kicks in straight away. So what we could do in that case is maybe you can loop the beginning of the song, okay? And then you're just holding that loop. It still gives me time. If I've got the loop, I can still mix in early. I've got time to beat match. And then all it requires is then exiting the loop at the right time so your new song comes in perfectly. So let's give that an example now. So I like using this example for this because everyone knows this song. So I'm going to go into, it's that Losing It song, Fisher. The guy's Australian, right? So but this song went really, really big in Australia, and I think worldwide as well. So it's this song. But what happens with this song is, after 8 bars, it kicks in with that Losing It straight away. Have a listen. I'm losing it. Right? So what I could do then is, I could loop the beginning of the song and then I just hold it till I want to bring it in. But then the main thing is with looping in that you just want to kind of exit the loop at the right time so the phrasing lines up. That's really, really important. So I'll give you an example. Let's say this one's playing and I'll come in. Okay. So there's my song playing. I'll turn up it. Cool. 2, 2, 3, 4. Set my loop. Now I've got all this time to beat match. Jesus, time. Okay, cool. I'll just show you quickly just the difference between the volume fader and the EQ. See, a lot of people do this. But hear that? Hear that? Alright? I can get rid of that. Alright, listen. I can come in inside the song. I can control. I get so much control here. Now, I could have exited there. That's a common one. Okay? But I might wait and try and line it up so it lines up with the drop. Now, if you don't know how to do that, you need to be conditioned with your phrasing. You have to. And that means, yeah, get my course. I'm sorry, but I've just put so much into it. I just want to get you there. But these videos give you a taste of a teaching style, but make a commitment. But anyway, I don't mean to push that. I just love what I do. Anyway, okay, so here. 1. Exit. Now, I'm starting to work this one in and this one out. I could even have an effect. Okay, that comes in. Definitely, all of these transitions have their time and place. The secret is knowing what transition to do at the right time to create the best result. Now, I have a whole series of how to mix videos coming out that are based on questions many of you have asked me. So expect videos very soon, right? I'm doing them like today really, but I batch it. So I've got a whole ton of videos I'm doing, right? But how to mix techno, dubstep, hardstyle, 90s house, trap, drum and bass, and heaps more actually. And in these videos, I'm going to demonstrate all of these transitions, but I'm going to vary up the transitions based on what will work best for that genre and which parts of each song I'm mixing together. So big things are coming, and I'm honestly stoked that I can share this journey with you. So anyway, thanks again for being part of the Club Ready tribe. Catch you in the next video. So the next one I'm going to talk about, it's going to be cool actually. So next Monday, I bring it out and I'm going to talk about the difference between volume faders. See, a lot of people just swap like volume faders and bass work. And I got some comment on there going, geez, you know, the pros are just doing like this. And yeah, maybe the pros are, you know, I don't know, right? But well, from what I see people, I think if you're at a barbecue and you're DJing, half of them are probably just using volume faders and swapping the bass. And I know that because I did that for a long time myself. But personally, I think using the whole EQ, and that means getting aggressive on the EQ, not worrying about the volume fader, getting it in and working it in inside the song. Not only does it sound better, right, but it looks and feels cool too. It really does, and you're in there, and like I'll probably say in my next video, but a lot of my students are getting shows, and people are always commenting on their EQ work, and they're getting very big shows, and they're very respected in the scene. So anyway, stick around. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you.